Everybody loves discovering and visiting James Bond filming locations, and today we have one of the most well-traveled James Bond fan in the world, Uwe Brosamle, who has visited literally hundreds of James Bond locations all around the world. Let's hear his story. Hi, this is Dan.
And Tom.
Of SpyMovieNavigator.com and our show, Cracking the Code of Spy Movies. Welcome to our show, Uwe.
Thank you. It's very nice of you guys to invite me to your show. I'm looking forward to share my little experience and my little adventures with you guys. I think I have some good stories here to share.
I'm sure you do.
Yes. So over the last over 10 years now, we are traveling pretty much around the world. We have covered over 30 countries, hundreds and hundreds of locations, and we took thousands and thousands of pictures,
Wow.
You said we, so this is you and your wife?
Correct. Most of the travel I do with my wife. Sometimes I go by myself if it's like places that are not as interesting for her to visit.
Mm-hmm.
But in addition, I also took my daughter, Anissa, to some of the places, and also my son, Kevin.
Great.
He lived in Puerto Rico for a while, and we did the Puerto Rico locations from Goldeneye together.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Fantastic. And your wife's name is?
Karen.
Okay. All right. So how did you begin this whole adventure? How did you get into this, Uwe?
Yes, I started, but probably like most of us, we were interested, or I was interested from my childhood as a teenager in James Bond. My first Bond film that I actually saw in the movie theater was Live and Let Die. I was 11 years old, so now you can probably figure out how old I am. So, but that totally grabbed me, and I was a big Roger Moore fan. It's probably like always the guy you grow up with, the Bond character you grew up with is usually the ones that you like the most. So for me, it was Roger Moore, and traveling actually was just back then when I was in my 20s around Europe. And it was just a typical tourist travel, go to London, go to Paris, take a snapshot of the Eiffel Tower or Westminster Bridge in London or whatever it was, but it wasn't so detailed as it is today. So later, then we moved to the United States, where we live right now in California. And the traveling in detail actually started with a tour I did with the Skillman Group back in 2013. So it was only like 10 years ago I got into the super detailed traveling and photography like you see today and like I do it today.
Yeah, you do a great job. I mean, it's incredible. 30 countries, hundreds and hundreds of James Bond filming locations. Tom and I have been to maybe like 150 or so, but that's fantastic. So today we want you to share some of your most unusual filming locations that you have visited, and maybe some places that are hard to get to or hard to find, and tell us a little bit about that, and some of the epic filming locations you've been to from the James Bond movies. And that's what the adventure is all about. Tell us that.
Correct. So I just going to start telling you, let's start with the epic one. The most of the Bond fans out there, they've been probably to London, they've been probably to Piz Gloria, some of us who ventured into Asia probably have seen Phuket or the James Bond Island, that's kind of an iconic place there. And that's, I would say, the most common visited ones, but in addition, obviously, there's so many other ones. One of my favorite places I like was Thailand, basically Bangkok and Phuket. I love the culture, I love the food, and I obviously love the Bond locations there that covered by multiple movies. So if you want to hear a little bit of a story right from there, we basically that has to do with the planning also of my trips. Google Maps is probably the best tool what you can use nowadays to get to those locations, because beforehand I take the scenes, I watch the movie, take the scenes out, And surprisingly, there's often scenes done in the studios, or in Pinewood on the outdoor lot, and they don't count per se, because they are edited in so well into the movie that you often can't even tell what is what and where is where.
Yeah, that's true.
So things have to be sorted out. And then also it depends on the visuals. Not every scene is interesting to take a picture of. So I pick the scenes where you have a nice background, where you can see a street, a landscape, a city,
sure.
Whatever has to be done interestingly for the photography later on when I do the picture-in-picture shots.
Yes. I love those too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you're trying to capture what appears in the film as opposed to the Pinewood Studio stuff, which is great. This is where we want to go, right? This is where people want to visit the actual filming locations, the real ones.
Exactly.
Geographically.
So so the Google Maps basically is a great tool. Surprisingly, in some countries we don't have Google Maps. It's not allowed, or they don't allow street views because of privacy, whatever. Sometimes political reasons, in some countries. But so in general, Google is the best way. But then there's challenges, like I just mentioned, when I went to look for the Man with the Golden Gun location in the, actually it's called the Phang Nang Bay, that's close to Phuket, where the James Bond Island is. But at the same time, the movie Tomorrow Never Dies was filmed there too. The end scenes when they are on the boat and the attack on the big boat takes place. So for me, it was like figuring out where are those islands. There's literally hundreds of islands in that area that look all very, very similar.
Yes.
And there's no Google map on the border.
Oh, well, yeah. Wow.
So my daughter still makes fun about me about that today, where I actually drew a map of the islands that got into the shots and the angles. Because what we did is we rented a boat, like one of those long boats they are called. Like 4 or 5 people fit on there. And we rented early in the morning. We started like at 5, 6 in the morning. And we went out there before all the tourists showed up. Because you will not believe how many tourists are showing up on the James Bond Islands.
I would imagine.
That's going to be one of my questions, because I saw the shots from that island and I'm going like, where are all the people?
Yes.
Yeah. So you got up early.
We were informed that the tourists show up at around 10 o'clock. That's when they open, So we had to be done with the photography before 10.
Okay.
So we showed up at 7 in the morning with that long boat, got on the island as the first people on there. There was nobody on there. And we had the whole island for a couple of hours for ourselves.
Yeah,
and then we went out. Yes, go ahead.
When you say they're open at 10, is it like closed off and you can't get into there before 10? No. Or you were able to because you got the boat?
Yeah, so it's open. There's no gate or anything. So
you
just land on the strand on the beach, and
like
get on the boat and you can walk around. There's surprisingly a lot of huts where they sell tourist stuff, that is kind of ruins kind of the view at some areas, but obviously that's their living, that's what they have to do, I guess, and there's literally over 2,000 people every day on that island,
2,000 people.
Yeah, boats come from every corner out of the whole bay there, from as far away from Phuket. That's quite a drive there with the boat. And so we showed up there early in the morning, did our pictures, what turned out really, really nice. Weather was great. And we went on to the other little islands that they were very close by, actually, where they filmed the scenes of Tomorrow Never Dies.
Okay. Oh, very nice.
And and there we just told the driver, I already knew on my map, where I have to go, and told the driver, no, I want to have this. The guy looked at me kind of funny and was wondering, what else? Like, I want to take pictures of all the different angles of the islands. So, but yeah, that was quite interesting around there.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So now, when you went to the other little islands, I imagine there weren't many people there because everybody
No.
goes
I
to the
mean,
one, right?
no. There's some yachts, like some super yachts that are parked out there. There's some TV shows. You can go. I don't know if you're familiar with Below Deck. That's a show that's on TV right now, and they filmed actually in the same area just a few months ago. One of those shows. So it was kind of interesting to see all the big boats.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to do all that mapping?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Kind of embarrassing, but it probably took a few days.
That's
yeah, I would imagine.
That's really hard to do.
Yeah, that was challenging. And usually it's like for the sake of time when we are there to not spend too much time looking around and figuring out where what is. And I still do that sometimes when I do locations like a car chase, if it was in Rome, or a boat chase, wherever it was, I try to lay things out beforehand so I don't run in circles, basically taking pictures. So I want to spend my time as efficient as possible.
So you do your discovery before you go, because I know some of the other people out there are like, okay, I know this is about where it is. I'm going to go there and try to find it.
Yeah, that helps. That can be done too. But like if you go into detail, like I do now, it's better if you plan that ahead of time.
Sure. So your advice to the listeners is Google is your friend.
Yes, Google is the best, especially
and help you find places. Yeah, I know Martin Mulder. He's got a great book out too, On the Tracks of 007, and that has helped a lot of people. It's helped us as well, and so that's a great tool as well. But all right, so when you're going this far from home, I mean that's got to be 20 something hours and to get there. Yeah. Are you trying to bundle that up with other locations and other James Bond locations while you've gone to Phuket and so on?
Yeah, definitely. Like obviously we are 25 films in the game here, so we can definitely go to places and take advantage of the trip and visit as many places as possible who are in the same area. What gets challenging now is when a new movie comes out, I might have been there, and now I have to go back again and take more pictures.
Right. Yeah, that's true. What a challenge.
Where do you get the location info, right? Because it's you sit there and say, okay, that's a neat scene in this movie. I want to go see where that is. How do you track that down?
Yeah. Most of the newer films, I would say the last almost 3 decades, those films are pretty much covered through media, through books, through just information in general that is out there. A lot of people have traveled those sites, and there's only really a handful of places left that have not been found yet. But if you go back into especially like the Connery area or early Roger Moore area, there's still places where there's no record, and then basically it's just start searching what makes sense. Often I put myself into the situation, what is the film team thinking when they do a certain scene? Often they try to put it together in the same area. They just turn the camera in the other direction and film the next scene, and it's literally at the same place. Especially at the Roger Moore area, I noticed that a lot. I live in Ladai. A few scenes of like from the boat chase, and the camera was just turned in a different direction and was filmed the next scene.
Well, the opening, the opening of that one where they come into the airport, the airport, that White House, that where they do that chase, that's all in the same spot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, right. Correct. Yeah. So it's just basically the challenge of finding the locations then either through Google Maps, often buildings are or mountain ranges are a great help. And then I do kind of, that's what I learned in the army, triangulation of places, like where you take a mountain, a building in different directions, and you can triangulate where maybe that scene was shot, and often it helps, But nowadays, I mean, if you're going to go 40, 50 years, 60 years back, from the first Bond movies, places have changed. One of the extreme places what I noticed was Hong Kong. I mean, Hong Kong is such an evolution in buildings and surround. I mean, nothing looks the same anymore than when they filmed in 1970. What was it? 74, 75. When they filmed The Man with the Golden Gun there.
Yes.
That was very extreme for me to not recognizing sometimes places and you were standing right there,
Mm-hmm.
But also like vegetation, forests, buildings are removed, and very disappointing sometimes is that you come to a place and then it's a construction site. They have scaffolding up.
Yes.
and you can't get the shot what you want or the picture of the beautiful place what you would take a picture of, and it's just not visible.
Yeah, right. I was just in New York in the Filet of Soul where they shot that in
Right.
that's a whole new condo building now or whatever.
Right.
So all of the building is actually gone, but you can still see the building across the corner is the same. And so
Yes.
exactly what you're saying, you kind of look for these other landmark things. It's like, okay, that's the build, that's where it was, but it's all
Yeah.
different now.
At least the background lines up.
Yes, exactly. So what was your next big Bond location that you've been to that you want to talk about?
Yeah. So let's just go through some of the stuff what we experienced. One of them was in The World Is Not Enough. We actually went to Spain, the locations in the desert. That's the scene where Bond was underground in that, what is it called? Like a rocket launch site,
Mm-hmm.
And he crawls out with, I think her name was Christmas, Dr. Christmas Jones, I think
Yes.
was
Right. Yes.
Yeah. And he crawls out that shaft, and appears in the desert on top of that silo, that rocket silo, right? Obviously, that there was no rocket silo in the ground, so they just placed on top on that side of the hill. They built it, set design, built a rocket silo, right? And I'm pretty sure nobody has ever been there. So I kind of used my technique of triangulation again, and I kind of found out the place. Google Map wasn't very clear there because it's just desert. I mean.
Yes.
They are often very not very focused on those areas. And we found the place, went there. I walked up on the side of the hill, and sure enough, I think it looked like they just left yesterday. And that was like, how many years ago? 20 or 25 years
Really?
ago.
Wow.
Yeah. And I looked around and I said, I can't believe that. And for your viewers, maybe later on for YouTube, I mean, this is the site. If you remember,
I've got that picture. You have that picture.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, right. You can take that picture there.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, I looked on the ground and I said, what is sticking out of the ground? And again, I found this piece of fiberglass, right?
Oh my gosh.
And what it is, it's actually the lid of one of the manholes covers that is on the silo. And I have a close up on this too, where this piece was still laying around after 25 years. So their cleanup crew didn't do a very well job there, And they left a lot of other stuff too, like just wood pieces and whatever.
Yeah. Well, you got an actual piece that was in the movie, really.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly. Yeah,
that is really cool.
Just coincident. I never expected that, but those kind of things are often very exciting to find or to see and get you right on the correct location and the correct spot there.
So we say that we've got that picture up on your Facebook page, and we'll have it in our video. Your Facebook page is For Your Eyes Only, Around the World with 007.
Correct.
And it is a gold mine. And so we're going to talk through some of these pictures. People who are listening or watching can go to
You'll
that
be amazed.
go to that site. We're only scratching the surface here.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you find this silo in the desert? Where about in Spain was that? And how did
Yes.
you figure that out?
I mean, the location, the filming location is known. I think it's also in Martin Mulder's book there.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's a known location. It's called Las Bardenas Reales. That's the desert. That's a national park, actually.
Okay.
And obviously, with the hillsides and the certain mountains in the background, like I said, it was easy to find, And if you, there's actually, as I remember, there is a Google Street View, and you can see from the street there where the camp was. I think that was a Russian camp, as I remember in the movie, with the trucks and the tents and all that set up,
Yeah.
And just by looking at the movie scenes, you can kind of figure out what direction that silo has to be, And then it was just like showing up there, marching into the hillside, and looking at a spot where they could have built this set, And it was that one was really easy to find, actually.
You're a James Bond film location detective.
Right, yeah. And especially with the assistant, I have to mention that my wife is the greatest. I mean, she's so good with traveling with me. She has the interest in the travel. She's not as a Bond expert like I am, but obviously she likes the traveling. And
Sure.
I always make fun about it. I took the picture. I take the pictures where James Bond jumps over the fence, and she turns around and takes the picture of the beautiful landscape I don't recognize.
Yes.
And when we are back home, she shows me the pictures where I actually was.
That's good.
Funny.
It's nice to have a cooperative
big,
spouse.
Going to all these things.
Yeah, I think that's. I'm lucky in this situation that he likes to travel, and we make it a great team doing that together.
That's good. That's terrific. That's from The World Is Not Enough. That probably few people in the world have been to that location, but Uwe has been there. Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a beautiful. I mean, it's a beautiful park. It's a national park with a lot of. For the people who live in the southwest of the United States and they know Grand Canyon and all the desert locations, it's very similar.
Yeah, I mean, Tom and I, when we were in Portugal, we went to Rabida National Park. That's where On Her Majesty's Secret Service was filmed, with the road where Tracy gets killed, and we were doing the same thing, taking all these pictures on this little curve, and people were looking at us like, what are you taking a picture of? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I think fun. That's part of the exciting part of the travel, I think, is meeting people, they ask what you do when they see when we are standing there and taking specific pictures, you often get into conversations. The funny thing, if it's locals, sometimes they can tell you a story of the filming that's maybe even decades back. We met people who were at the filming and were part of the filming sometimes, and we get to know them. I mean, that's a very nice part of the travel.
Yeah, it was fun when Tom and I were in Sardinia, and we went to the beach where the Lotus comes out of the water, and the woman who ran the cafe there was there when they filmed it, and she was telling us exactly where they took the car out of the water and where they went through the trees, and so yeah, you're right. It's like sometimes you get into these conversations and it's like fantastic because they're adding to your experience and helping you actually.
Yeah,
so cool. Yeah.
Sometimes it's a help. Sometimes they come up with stories. What I definitely know it can't be because they heard it. It was hearsay. They heard it from somebody else. But that's probably very common.
Yeah. So one of the things that is you're talking about tracking these things down. What have you found to be the hardest location to find? And is there something that you're still looking for and you're not exactly sure where it is?
Yeah. Well, hardest locations to find was, it's often the challenge on how to get there, like just physically how to get there. Not because it's private property. I mean, I'm usually very respectful of it's private property. I don't just sneak in. I did that in the past, at some places, but try not to do that. But if it's like if it's just the fence, that's not a challenge, really.
Yeah.
So,
Fence, yeah.
but in general, I'm very respectful with places where I'm not supposed to be. But yeah, that's one of the things is how to get there. As example, in Puerto Rico, we did the GoldenEye location. I was there with my son, and we had to walk like I can't remember how many miles it was along the beach because we couldn't get through the official property side to reach the part what you see in the movie where the BMW shows up and the airplane lands and they switch
Yes.
to airplanes there.
Yeah.
And that's actually next to a beach, and it's also the same spot where, or similar in the similar area, is where the kind of love scene between Bond and his Bond girl is, and they actually built a whole house on the side of the beach there. And those are places, I mean, it's a hike, we were hours and hours walking along the beach just to get there because we couldn't do it any other way, so. Yeah. But at the end, it's, I mean, my son wasn't that impressed by walking that far just to take a picture.
Yeah.
But no, it's a great adventure.
Yeah. So I think that was asking if there's a place you have not found yet that you want to find that you're really trying to work out.
Yeah, there's a few places. It's like the small scenes, the very quick scenes you don't even realize when you watch the movie. One of the scenes that have not been found is a scene from For Your Eyes Only. It's probably filmed on Corfu. The chance is pretty good. It's filmed on Corfu, and it's just the outside shot of the house where Bond and her name was Melina, I think, lives. Yes. Or stays at a kind of a hotel or a guest house. Mm-hmm. And it's a very short shot on the outside, an opening shot of that house, and nobody has found that yet.
Oh wow,
that's one of them. One of the challenging ones, I mentioned those in different podcasts or different interviews before, was the house with the pool from Live and Let Die, where the boat ends up at the boat chase, and they switch the boats there. And that's outside New Orleans in Louisiana. And yeah, that was a search that took me, I don't know how many days, Google Maps and looking at the swimming pools all over Louisiana.
That's a good use of Google Maps right there. Yes, looking for the swimming pool.
There it was. The help was the pool was so big a boat could land into it. Like what you saw in the movie. And the pool, like you see in the movie, has the shape of the figure 8, like. Yeah. And so that was a big help. And finally, after I don't know how many hours, how many days of going from house to house along the bayou there, I found the place. And we had no contact there. I found the place just days before we actually traveled, and went there, knocked at the door. A lady showed up at the door, and I just told her I'm here for James Bond, for the filming vacation. And I still get goosebumps just by her answer, because she said, I was waiting 40 years for you. Because nobody has been there checking out the place.
Yeah. And I know. When they were doing the scouting locations for that, they landed on her property in a helicopter because they were flying around and they saw that and they thought, oh, this might be good. Yeah, we want to shoot on your property. Oh, yeah, great. That's a funny story. Years.
Yeah, actually, the owner who you see him, the owner when they were filming was a different owner. He was a physician who lived in that house, and you see him in the scene of reading the newspaper, sitting in the chair when the boat shows up. He's sitting right next to the pool. That's the owner.
Oh yeah, right on the left side there, I think.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's funny. All right, so why don't you just rattle off a bunch of places you've been to from any of the James Bond movies, just so everyone has a concept, an idea of the number and the vast number of places you've been to, and some of your favorites, and then you could talk about anyone you like.
Yeah. I think let's start with some funny stories. Hong Kong. I looked for the location for actually not for The Man with the Golden Gun. It's the short scene at the beginning of You Only Live Twice, when the agent is sitting on the balcony reading the newspaper about the funeral of James Bond.
Yes.
And you see Hong Kong Harbor in the background. So that's actually the Royal Yacht Club in Hong Kong. Very prestige, very, almost impossible, I think, now to get in, right? But we showed up there, walked in. There was a concierge there. I just walked by the concierge. A lady welcomed us, and it was in the morning for breakfast, So there was a big breakfast spread there. So we walked in, and the lady just put us right away on the table, sat us down, and she said it's all you can eat. It was the best food. Seriously, it was the best. And we starting enjoying our breakfast there. In between, I got up. I took my pictures of the locations of where the agent was sitting on the balcony, reading his newspaper there.
Yeah,
did all that. We were done with breakfast like a couple of hours later. Beautiful view over the harbor of Hong Kong. It was very exquisite there. So I said, so I would like to pay. I would like to get the check, right? And she looked at me and she said something in, I think it was Chinese, so she said something I couldn't understand her. She went and got her manager. Manager comes out, and the manager goes, why do you want to pay? And I said, yeah, because I had the breakfast here. And they said, no, that's included in your membership.
There you go.
So I said, I'm not a member of the Yacht Club. So they said, I was not supposed to be here. And he said, well, the lady, she just let us in here and put us on the table, and we didn't know. So it was just a very big misunderstanding of both parties, I guess.
Oh, man.
And we left a very, very generous tip for the food we ate, and but the chance to get in there usually is not very good.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a member of that yacht club, so
yeah,
those kind of things happen when you travel for James Bond.
yeah. You've been to places where most people are never going to get to, but hearing about it is great. Like that's a great scenario. Here, have a seat.
Yes, yeah, that was very funny.
Yeah.
One other, just this year, actually, beginning of this year, we went to Morocco. Morocco was filming locations for not only The Living Daylight, but also Spectre.
Mm-hmm.
That short scene when he walks through town and checks in at the Hotel L'Américaine,
Yes.
that's in a little side alley there.
Yes.
But obviously, this is not a real hotel. This is a very, very nice residence that was redecorated as the hotel. The hotel scenes from the bedroom, where he later on breaks through the wall and finds that little hiding room. That's done in the studio, but the opening scene in the lobby, so to say, that's the residence of the house. So we went there, knocked at the door. I knew where the location was, so knocked at the door, the door opens up. It was a huge wooden door, right? Door opens up, and I think it was the maid of the house, opened up. And she didn't speak a word English, because in Morocco they speak either French or Arabic. So she closed the door. So I thought, okay, that show is over. So I'm not going to get in there, A minute, we were just standing there. A minute later, door opens up again, and a beautiful young lady was standing in front of us, and she introduced herself as the owner of the house. So I just gave her my little spiel and explained to her what I'm here for, and she was totally welcoming, and we should come in. And we went in there, and you walk right into that inner court. It's actually open. There's no roof above it. It's an inner court, and in the movie you can see all the plants and
yeah.
So, and I was allowed to take pictures, and so finally I kind of asked her, so what do you do? And she said, oh, she's an actress, and I had no clue who she is, right? And finding out now, She's one of the biggest famous actors in Morocco. You know,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and
You
she was
just
in
knocked on her
different-
door.
Yeah, and let me
And
see.
she
I
let you
wrote-
in.
Yeah, right. And that's the next thing is that she just let somebody in. And maybe because we didn't recognize her, that was kind of the help of, oh, we are not here for her, really.
Yes,
So
yeah,
we are
yeah.
here for the location. Her name was, I hope I don't wreck their name here. It's Sumaye Akabune. That's her name. And she was also with she's in some Hollywood movies with Matt Damon. And
Oh, wow.
she's a known actress, you know.
Wow.
Anyway,
That's good.
so she showed us the whole house, and then we talked about the filming locations of The Living Daylight, you know, and she said, "Oh yeah, that was filmed on my roof," and I didn't
Oh,
even
no
have,
kidding.
yeah, I didn't even have a clue that that scene was filmed there. It was a part of a deleted scene and part of the scene what you see in the movie, and she took us up on her roof. And I swear I was right there where they filmed the scene where Timothy Dalton goes over with the antenna. He does that antenna
Yeah.
swing there, and they are shooting after him. That was filmed all on her roof side, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe the deleted was his magic carpet ride too that they deleted. Maybe that was
no,
up
the
there.
Magic Carpet Ride was actually on another, but that was the hotel we stayed at.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so yeah.
What's
So
the
that
name of
was,
the
that
hotel?
was
What's the name of the hotel where they did that?
oh.
Oh,
Yeah, I
I'm
can
just
remember,
curious.
but
Yeah.
it's a known area. You know, it's a plaza. That's also the plaza where Daniel Craig walks up the steps and walks through that gate before he shows up at the L'Americaine. You know, that's
Yes.
the plaza where the Magic Carpet Ride took place.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. That's fun.
Yeah, so that was a good one. Let's see here. Oh yeah, Diamonds Are Forever, Palm Springs. We actually got into the house of actor Kirk Douglas. You know, that's the scene where they filmed the swimming pool
Yeah, the
scene.
swimming pool scene, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where they found the hairpiece, or like the lady floating in the pool, you know, that lady floating in the pool. And that was actually on an architectural tour. They every so often they have architectural tours through Palm Springs, where they introduce mid-century homes and the architectural style of those homes. And by coincidence, we just got into that house, right? And I knew it was the house from the scene, but it was the Douglas family house. And it's just so impressive. The lady who owns it today, she just left all the things, or not all of them, but most of the things of the Douglas family in there. And you see private pictures of Michael Douglas and Kirk Douglas. And
Oh, wow.
a movie room where they watched their movies. And I mean, it was super impressive. The crazy thing was the lady had no idea that James Bond was filmed in her backyard. I'm not kidding you.
No kidding.
So I told her about Ryan Hickmore, and she couldn't put it together, you know, like, so I showed her the screenshots, and obviously it was her house. And the funny thing is, the lawn chair Sean Connery lays on in the movie, and I think he also reads a magazine or a newspaper there when Tiffany Chase walks in, you know, that lawn chair is still there.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean,
That's fantastic.
They really kept all the original items of the house as they were 50 years ago, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Now, did you
yeah.
get down the street to the Elrod house?
Oh, yeah.
To which house, sorry?
The Elrod house, the circus.
Oh, no.
Thumper
Elrod,
and
no.
Bambi.
Yeah, I got in contact with the owner there. He's a fashion designer out of New York, and they were remodeling the place. I hope they don't remodel it to the point that you don't recognize the interior anymore.
Right.
The house was under construction, so I couldn't get in. It's a very, very high secure area up on top of that hill, where I think Bob Hope had a house up there. There are a lot of actors up living, and celebrities living up there. And we couldn't even get through the gates on that, you know. I couldn't even get an outside shot or anything there.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the tough ones they
Now
say.
you're going to start having to carrying a drone with you. So for those places you can get up.
Yeah, nowadays, I mean, yeah, that's a good idea. I'm not that technically capable of doing all that, and also traveling with all that stuff, you know.
Yeah, traveling with it
I mean,
stuff.
yeah, nowadays, especially all the helicopter shots that were done in the movies years ago, you could do by drone today. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
You know?
you do have to watch out though, especially as you go into different countries, because even in the U.S., the states all have different laws
Yeah,
about
Correct.
drones as to how high you can fly them, how near you can be to certain things. So
Yeah.
you got to be really careful because you can get in trouble.
over
Yeah.
private property too. Yeah, yeah,
Or you're going over, a government property. I mean, I remember one of
yeah.
the shots you were showing in from Skyfall, where they
Yes.
GCI'd that house in, or where
Yeah.
they GCI'd Skyfall or CGI'd Skyfall in.
Yeah.
That was, I think you said it was a paratrooping testing thing for the military. And
Correct.
you're
Yeah.
not going to be thrown as a drone over a lot of military places. I don't think.
Actually, let me show you that. I took that out now too. I was there at that location. I don't know if you can see that. That's a rock from the original building of the Skyfall house, what they built there. You
Wow.
Oh,
know?
really?
Yeah, and when I went there and I looked around, there's so much stuff they left there from filming. You know, you even find I had like 5 or 6 shells, gun shells, when they were,
Really?
yeah, they were all laying around there, and construction stuff from the house. I mean, there's a lot of stuff what I found, but that was already like 7, 8 years ago. I don't know what is left there today. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wow, sometimes you're finding stuff that was actually in the movies and they leave
Yes.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not doing a good job cleaning up, they are, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the nice items I've actually got as a gift was the inspector. You remember the airplane chase in Austria, where he crash lands the plane and
Yeah.
slides down the hill, and
Yeah.
he breaks through
Wing.
the barn, right?
Mhm.
And you see all those wood stuff flying all over this place when he goes through the barn with the airplane. And when I went there, actually on location hunt, that's in Obertilliach. That's the town of Obertilliach, a very small village in the mountains of Austria. And I drove through town and I was looking for the house. So I just rolled down the window and there was a lady walking. She went grocery shopping or something. And I asked the lady, could you tell me where the house is from the James Bond movie? And she says, yes, that's mine. So,
No kidding.
yeah. So what's the chance of that? So, and she said, yeah, come over, I invite you for lunch. And I mean, she was super.
Oh my gosh.
That's nice.
So I got her in the car and we drove back to the house, and obviously the barn is just a set design that wasn't real, they built it just for the movie.
Sure.
But you can see her house on the side in the background, and she had Dave Bautista in the house and Daniel Craig, and when they were doing a break from filming, and she was cooking for them. And I mean, she's a super, super nice lady. And her husband told me, oh, he has something in the basement he wants to show me. So we went in the basement and he had the door of the airplane. When Bond kicks out the door of the airplane, that was still, they forgot that somehow. And that was laying in his basement. And I think I have a picture on that on my website too.
That's great.
But the interesting thing was, so she went back, the lady went back down in the basement and she said, I have a gift for you. And she gave me the pieces of wood, what was used
from the barn.
Yeah. But now you would say, why? That could be any piece of wood. But the thing is, it's made out of foam.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So and I don't know how many thousands of pieces they made. See, like that's all.
Yeah.
Looks like a real piece of tree, but it's made out of foam. And when the airplane crashed through, obviously they couldn't go through solid wood, so they used all those thousands of pieces of foam.
Oh my gosh.
And nobody got hurt probably, for sure, when they did that scene.
Yeah. You've got things that nobody in the world has.
Yeah.
Other than you.
I'm
It's
not too big.
fantastic.
I'm not too big into collecting. I have some stuff, but I'm sure there's people out there. They have way more items of the James Bond movies than I do.
Oh yeah, there's some serious collectors out there for sure. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Great. So now I have another question for you in terms of when you're finding a location. So and I probably will mispronounce this, the Eileen Donan Castle in Scotland.
Right.
So I got there. Had done no research. I just knew where it was. So I get there and I'm looking and this doesn't look like the picture. And then there was a picture in the gift shop because I had no idea you had to go up the hill to get that shot.
Correct. Right.
Now, did you know before you got that you were going to have to do that, or was it one of those I got here and this isn't exactly right? How do I get up there to get that?
No, I mean, on the picture you can see it's taken off a higher elevation. You know, it's basically downhill. You know,
Right.
and yeah, I knew beforehand. If I looked at the picture from the movie, I knew it had to be there on the side of the hill. So what I do is, again, Google Map. I look for the roads because the film crew probably didn't do much else. You know. And found a spot that's now a challenge. Often the trees are overgrown, then you have to find a spot where you can kind of sneak through or take a shot through. And I found that spot up on the road, a few hundred yards away from the actual location.
Because I stopped on the there's two car parks. There's the lower one, and then there was the one that you took it up, which was from higher. And I didn't get up to that one, but I took it from the lower one.
The lower one, right.
I'm not sure which is really the one from the movie, but it's an angled shot down. That's all.
Did you mention the movie it was from?
The World Is Not Enough. Yeah.
Oh yeah, The World Is Not Enough. So Uwe, out of all the James Bond movies, which one have you been to the most filming locations for?
You mean over and over again?
No, I mean the just sheer number. Like I've been to 10 or the 10 from On Her Majesty's Secret Service or 30 locations from this movie or that movie. Which have you seen the most filming locations from?
Okay, I think I was that's a question I often get asked. So just I mean the exact details or the exact number I don't have, but I would say I covered about 80% of all filming locations that are out there, you know. I have 3, 4. Is that what your question was?
For all the movies, 80%? Yeah,
80% of all the movies.
And which of the movies have you been to the most filming locations for? Like,
yeah. So I finished up a few of the complete films. You know, For Your Eyes Only. The only shot that I didn't got was the pool side of Gonzalez. You know, like where he got shot with the bow and arrow, or crossbow. And Thunderball, I think I got all of them. You Only Live Twice. There's only 1 or 2 shots missing. I mean, in all the movies, there's sometimes one or the other shot missing where it was either too challenging to get there, or I was there, couldn't get in, you know. Yeah, so there's a handful I completely finished. Yeah,
that's amazing. And you're talking about all, of course, the actual geographical location shots, not the studio stuff. The real stuff from the real movies. Man, that's fantastic.
And one thing that I really like, so again, on your Facebook page, For Your Eyes Only Around the World with 007, you've got it so that you can actually go into what you called albums. So you can see just photos. Then you've got them broken up by albums, so you can come in and if you're a fan of whatever movie, you can click on that and see the scenes, see the pictures that you've taken at those sites with the inserts from the movie. So it's very well done.
And it's also, keep in mind, it's also scene by scene, like you watch it in the movie.
Yep.
You know, you can go from the first scene to the last scene all the way through.
Amazing.
You can basically watch the movie and click through the pictures. So at the same time.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Everybody, you got to go to that. You go check out his Facebook page. It's terrific. Absolutely.
Maybe you'll get turned on to this hobby as well of taking your vacations and going around the world looking for James Bond locations.
Yeah, I mean, Tom and I have done it too. Like we said, we've been to Portugal and visited many of the on Her Majesty's Secret Service locations there. Went to Sardinia, saw where all the Lotus scenes were, the chase scenes, and so on. And like you said, sometimes it takes a long time to find the location. Tom and I like to find the exact spot where somebody was standing and so on. You know, So where the chase starts in the town where the Lotus comes up and the motorcycle starts chasing them. It took us a while to find exactly where that motorcycle started, but we found it, and it's fun. It's fun to do. So yeah, but you have been to 80% of the James Bond filming locations. I don't think there's anybody else in the world.
In 10 years. That's the thing that just blows my mind that you did it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we spent a lot of time. Some people call it crazy, but
it's a passion.
We just enjoy it, and it's like the main thing I always tell people, we have a purpose when we go to a place. It's not like you go on vacation and you lay a week on the beach, or you go to the typical tourist site of these places, So we find the locations, we travel to the locations, and often you end up in beautiful places anyway, because the Bond producers, they chose places that are very, very cool, and nice to visit. And it's not, like I said, it's not the typical tourist stuff,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What's your next trip?
We had a trip planned actually next month, but we are traveled out for the year, so I'm just getting tired. So no, we're gonna go probably in spring. We're gonna go to Egypt and do the Spy Who Loved Me. Location there. I always want to go to Egypt. That was one of my main things. I have India. I want to do India. I still haven't been in India, and I haven't been in South America. So for the Rio locations, and
Brazil, yeah. So, you've been to hundreds and hundreds of locations. Do you have a top 5 where you say these were my all-time favorite Bond locations? Do you have a top 5?
That's like asking if you have kids, what's your favorite kid?
We love them both separately, equally.
Yeah. So no, it's hard. It's really hard because every location has its own uniqueness, of culture, food, people, the places itself. Like I said earlier, Thailand is a great place to visit. Culturally so different than what we are used to.
Sure.
I loved Corfu. Corfu is a great place for a Bond fan to visit because everything is so close together. They used it for the Spanish scenes and the Greek scenes, for in the movie. And you can go in a very short drives. You can cover all those locations too. You've been in Sardinia. Sardinia is absolutely
gorgeous.
I'm a big fan of London. I mean, if you're in London, you're in the James Bond world. If a red bus drives by in a black taxi, I'm already happy because I think I'm James Bond.
Well, we do not just Bond here, so London's a great place for spy movies in general because so many movies have shot there. So.
Yeah, right. That's what I do on the side too. I have on my personal page, I do other movies too. I did Top Gun. Right now I'm doing American Werewolf in London. I'm finishing up with those pictures. We did Officer and Gentleman. I did Valkyrie in Berlin. So I have a bunch of other outings too.
Awesome.
It's just amazing that you have time to do other stuff too.
Yeah.
It's like 80% of the Bond movies. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I'm fortunate I can do it the way I do it. I know it's not everybody's way of traveling like this, and we enjoy it. And as long I can do it, I will do it.
Like you say, even if you don't know the place you're going, it's very often a really nice place. So.
Yes, I mean, like I said, often it's challenging to get there. When we went to Iceland to do A View to a Kill and For Your Eyes Only, for A View to a Kill and
Die Another Day.
Die Another Day, sorry, the opening scenes there. So challenging just to get there, you have to fly to Iceland. You have to sit 6 hours in the car to go to that glacier area where they filmed the scenes, and
wow.
Yeah, it's and then it's only a short amount of scenes what you cover there for such an extended trip.
The car chase, the invisible car, and Zhao's Jaguar Tom and I got to sit in Zau's Jaguar that was driving in Iceland on the ice because the Ian Fleming Foundation, as you know, seeks out and collects and restores these things. And we were invited nicely once to their work weekend, and we got to sit in some of these vehicles and actually help work on a couple of them with them as well. So it was fantastic. But you're 6 hours in the car after you get to Iceland to get to the area.
So it's challenging to get to those places sometimes. And there's places out there I probably will never reach my 100%, you know, because there's some places they are just either in dangerous places by the country, you know, or really so far out there where it's really not feasible or makes sense to visit those. Not for me, you know.
Right.
So if you had somebody that was just starting on doing James Bond location trips, Google Maps is one of your guidance for them. What guidance do you give them for how much time to allocate? Is it figure that it's going to take you X amount of time and then double it, or how do you do that?
Yeah, I kind of know about how much time I have to spend on a location, you know, but that's really, you always add on more time what you think you need, you know, and you almost have to double that, because to take the pictures, especially if you're in a town, people are in the way, cars are in the way, you know, you have to wait, or like I said before, maybe there's a location, there's scaffolding around it, they don't turn out, or they are closed, you know, you can't get in at a certain time. So those are challenging things to, or even parking on the side of the road and doing when there's a street scene that you have to walk into the street and take the pictures. I mean, that could be 15, 20 minutes just to get the shot, you know? Yeah, I would say double your time. You'll figure it out on your own if you do the first few and you know how exactly you want to do the photographs, and how much time you want to spend there. That's a hard question to answer, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. But there are a couple of locations, like you mentioned, Corfu, where you could go and you got a lot of physical locations that were in the movie in a short distance. Right. And I think License to Kill in Key West is the same thing. There's many multiple viewing areas there where they shot the film, the airport, and at the church and everything. And so those are a couple of them. Are there any other ones like that where you can go to one place and see a bunch of filming locations in a short distance?
What's interesting is the car chases or boat chases, any chase that takes place is usually a lot of pictures, a lot of locations, you know, because they race through a town or along a river or whatever it is, you know. And the chase scene in Rome from Spectre, that goes on. I mean, that took an immense amount of time to get all those pictures taken just of the car chase scene, you know.
Yes.
So yeah, Rome is a place where there's a lot of things close together. Venice, I mean, go to Venice, you have everything in one town. I mean, there's Moonraker, Casino Royale was filmed there, parts of From Russia with Love, you know. I mean, there's a lot of scenes right in Venice, and I mean, it's a great place to vacation too.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, that's good tips for people. That's fantastic.
Istanbul would be another one too, right? I mean,
Istanbul, awesome. What I really loved was I was never in Morocco before, so this year was the first time I was in Morocco. That was unbelievable. How clean and how nice this town is presented. I mean, the food was extremely good. The people were extremely nice. You live in those hotels, they look like just out of a movie, you know, like almost every hotel you go into, you know. So that was a very unique place, was Morocco in combination as a vacation place, you know.
That's cool.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Look across the strait, you get to see Gibraltar.
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah. That we did that in combination. We did the southern part of Spain and just took the ferry. It's only an hour ferry ride to Morocco, from Gibraltar, and you can kind of combine that whole corner in a week. That's what we did. 1 week we did Cadiz, we did Gibraltar, Malaga, and Morocco.
Oh, that's pretty good in a week. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, you get a lot in. There's probably 30 locations or 40 right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maybe
Easy.
more.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And like I said, for me, it's not just as example, if I go to Gibraltar, it wasn't just that one shot of the rock or whatever. So I went through the whole chase scene down the hill of Timothy Dalton laying on the roof of the car and all that, and
Yes.
that takes a little bit longer. So you put in like a couple of hour hike, at the same time you have a good exercise walking through that area, and it's fun.
Well, and the pictures you've got up on your Facebook page on that are just especially from the Gibraltar thing, like you're talking about, is really, really well laid out.
Yeah. In Gibraltar, were they pretty friendly and letting you get around the places?
Well, Gibraltar, the place is a military site, actually. Obviously, it's English. You drive across the border from Spain into Gibraltar, and you drive over the airport runway. That's their border crossing, and that's an active runway. So basically, they have big, how's it called? Where they close down the runway, so if an airplane comes in, they stop the traffic, and then the airplane lands, and then and it's a full-size airport, like big airplanes come in there. So and then they open it up again. So but yeah, a part of the island wasn't accessible, the top part, because that's still under military security, whatever it is. And I wrote a letter to them, but they answered that they don't allow anybody up there, And that's often the challenging thing with military installation, especially now with all the stuff that's going on in the world.
Yes.
Over the last few years, I noticed they are getting very, very cautious with letting people in.
Yes.
And I got into a few of them. I actually got some visitor passes here. I just pulled out. That was RAF, Royal Air Force. That's an escort.
Nice.
They let me in. The one I went with Martin Mulder was Fort Knox. So we got into Fort Knox with an escort. But even small airports like this one here is from the Farnborough Airport in west of England. That was in Quantum of Solace, the Bregenz Airport in Austria.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there's no airport in Bregenz, by the way.
Movie magic, you gotta love it.
Yeah, so that's often the challenge of getting into those places. And often it's better just to show up and then just people help you out often easier when you are standing in front of them. Just when you announce and try to get in there, I noticed that it's sometimes easier even on private properties or.
It's harder to turn a person away. It's easy to say no to an email.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, but if you're standing there and you look like normal people,
that's true though. That's how we got into the mansion, the wedding courtyard scene in on Her Majesty's Secret Service in Portugal. We just drove through there and they let us in because we were fans. And then we showed a picture. This one young guy came out and showed a picture, and we say, "Hey, we're Bond fans. Here's pictures from the courtyard." He said, "Oh, my grandmother was in the movie," because she was one of the servants. And she said, he said that was the real outfits they wore as we're showing him the photo. And he said, "Oh, come on in." So he let us into the whole place, took us around the back to the fountain and everything. So sometimes if you're there, you got to be nice though. Like you said.
I know that's the thing. You have to be nice, polite, professional at the same time.
Yes.
Don't look like a crazy fan that just got let loose. So, one last story. I think that's a funny one. We were in For Your Eyes Only in Corfu, and there's the place. the Danieli village. I don't know if you're familiar with that. That's where the wedding takes place towards the end of the movie. Yeah. And Bond is in that little church and talks to Q, who is dressed up as a priest, I guess, you know. Yeah. So that's actually the same place where the gate is of Sanchez's villa, where the cars drive in and out, you know.
Really?
Yeah, that's the same place. So, but the place is closed for public. Sometimes they use it for certain celebrations if there's local celebrations, but it's not an active village. You know, it almost looks like a movie village. Yeah, right.
Wow.
So we went there. I walked over the gate, or there was a little gate there. I walked in there. I knocked at the door, and an old man comes out talking Greek. You know, didn't speak any English. I had a big bulldog with him, so I was already in attention. You know, so and he kind of understood what I tried to say, that I want to get into the village. So he took me by the hand, by the arm, you know, and moved me back to the gate. Opened the gate for me, the outside, put me in the outside, closed the gate, and said no. So that was the first message, right? So and then he pointed on a phone number. There was a phone number on the gate, right? And he walked away. So I called the phone number on the gate. Phone rings. I just started talking in English, my little spiel that I'm here for James Bond location. And the same guy who just took me out was on the phone, and he said no again.
Oh, the guy has a sense of humor.
That's good.
But luckily, and that's often the case, that luck is at the correct time, at the correct place to be. You know, a car pulled up, and it was the manager who manages the whole property there. You know, and it was just coincident that he usually is not there, and he just pulled up to pick something up. And I explained him what I'm here for, and he was no problem. Come on in. You know, I'll show you all around. You know, whatever you want to see. You know, we walked in. We walked by the old man with the dog. You know, he was kind of really mad, I guess. You know. But we got in, and I think we were one of the first people who could take pictures in the church. And the church, I mean, that was amazing. The church looks like Roger Moore just walked out. Wow. I mean, it was the same candles, the same decoration. I mean, it was exactly like in the movie. You know.
Wow. That's a great story.
Yeah.
No, and you're in.
Yeah, right.
You again. All right. I think that's a wrap. Thanks for all these fabulous stories, Uwe. Unbelievable. The worldwide traveler for James Bond filming locations. Thank you.
I think we covered a lot.
And I do want to replug your Facebook page for Your Eyes Only Around the World with 007. Great site.
Check it out.
Thanks so much, you guys, Dan, Tom, for inviting me to your site, you know, and to your podcast here. So it was a real pleasure, I have to say. Fun talking to you. I hope your audience enjoys it too. If there's any questions, let me know, you know, and keep on traveling.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, Uwe.
Thanks, Uwe. We really appreciate that. All right, that's a wrap. This has been Dan.
And Tom.
Of SpyMovieNavigator.com and our show, Cracking the Code of Spy Movies. Please subscribe to our show. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you spending time with us.